You want to know my official statement after last night's game?
Oh, let's hear it.
I'm shooketh.
Wow.
I'm legit shooketh.
Oh, wow. That's your second statement of the week?
I've had two statements.
I had not heard your official statement on the Celtics.
I am, because I don't think you can ignore this. This was like years ago. I remember the Ottawa Senators beat the Bruins every time they played them in the regular season. And then they matched up in the playoffs. And people were like, well, I got the Bruins. I was like, based on what? Like, every time they played them, they lost. Like, why is that going to be different in a 7-game series? And Oklahoma City has this great record, but we've both said all along, hey, you can have a great record in the NBA, but there's been so many examples of teams like the LeBron Heat or the Spurs with Duncan. Like, you don't need to be the 1 seed, and you can go and win it, especially when you've already won it. So I didn't think it was the most important thing for the Celtics to have the best record. Also, they're not great at home, so them having home court advantage isn't the most important thing. But just this matchup in particular, 2 games with Oklahoma City, 2 losses. First game, the Thunder didn't have Chet Holmgren. Second game, the Thunder didn't have Jalen Williams. And they are so good defensively. Plus, they can score when they need to. They have an MVP candidate in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who could be a closer. But yesterday, guys like Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser were terrible. They were also terrible the first time around because the Thunder play smothering defense where I don't know how many of the other guys are going to have good games against the Thunder. This might be a series where they have to really totally rely on Jason Tatum to have 4, 5, 6, 7 great games in that series to do it. And also, if the 3 isn't falling like it was last night, you're not going to be able to beat the Thunder. The Thunder are maybe the one team in the league, plus with their size and the uncertainty of Porzingis playing in a series and being healthy in a series, the Thunder legit scare me now. I am concerned about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
So Keefe is shooketh.
Shooketh.
The Thunder legit scare him. You guys can jump in all day long. 617-779-7937. I'm with you. I'm not saying the Celtics couldn't beat them in a 7-game series.
Of course they could.
But I don't think I'd pick that right now. I think if they're matched up and pitted against each other and it's the Celtics and OKC, I don't think I'd pick the Celtics. That's not to say they can't win or they have no chance against the Thunder, but I don't think I'd pick them. What would you pick them based on what, as you just said, Keith?
The 2 regular season matchups?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're still living in the past from a year ago, and you're saying, well, the Celtics are the defending champs.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of teams have been the defending champs in recent NBA history. Nobody's repeated since 2018. And the Celtics, I'm sorry, Jaylen Brown said it earlier this week, we're better than we were a year ago. You're not.
It doesn't seem like it.
You're not a better team. And, oh, by the way, you just said they'd need 6 or 7 great games in a series out of Tatum.
Well, minimum 4.
When?
Right? You'd have to win all those games.
When has that happened?
Yeah,
Like if that's what they need to beat the Thunder, and that's what you believe they need to beat the Thunder, and Tatum was great last night. I don't mean to pile on.
No,
Tatum.
that's what I'm saying. But
Jalen was the problem.
Yeah.
But even with a great Tatum game, you still lost.
Right.
And I wouldn't wager on 6 or 7 straight games out of Tatum. Even the best games he's had and signature moments he's had.
Yeah.
It was usually about him overcoming a crappy stretch, like he did against the Bucks years ago, or he did against the Sixers, where he finally woke up in a Game 7. Like, those are most of his best signature moments. After he's sucked for half the series, he finally wakes up.
Yeah, no, this has to be an eye-opening kind of, game against the Thunder. But there might be 2 ways that you would still win the series or win the whole thing. One of them, of course, would be if the Thunder don't get there. Let's say the league, if you want to buy into Keefe-spiracies and everything else, if the Lakers beat the Thunder in a series that has maybe some beneficial whistles to the Lakers, right? Hey, it's the NBA. All this stuff's on the table. So if the Thunder don't get there, I love the Celtics' chances still because I don't think there's any other team that would beat them in a 7-game series. There are ones like Cleveland, fully healthy Cleveland. It's a tough series, but I'm taking the Celtics. Everybody up, Nuggets, Lakers, I'm taking the Celtics. The Thunder right now, I can't. Also, there's also this hope. A lot of teams, a lot of star players have to, for whatever reason, get to the finals first and experience that and lose and then come back and win. LeBron James didn't win his first final. Kevin Durant didn't win his first final. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown didn't win their first final.
Right.
So is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that path where, because they are the youngest team in the NBA.
He'll get there.
You get there first, and then either the next year or 2 years later, you return, and then you're better suited for it. That's what I think you have to bank on if you're the Celtics.
You're not wrong. There are obviously exceptions, right? Giannis is an exception. First time he got to it took him a while, but first time he got to the finals.
Oh, yeah, no, guys have done it, but I think there are standout guys that their team might not be ready, especially this one because it is such a young roster, the youngest in the league, that you could see them getting there. Plus, it's a gauntlet in the West. Like, they're going to have to beat probably Jokic and LeBron or whatever it is to get to the finals. But then there's something about the bright lights in the finals. However, the team that could be standing in their way and the team that's the defending champs, they did beat twice in the regular season.
Right.
So as much as I want to say, hey, maybe the finals gets a little too big for them, like, they have to have confidence now playing the Celtics.
So I'm with you. I'm not saying the Celtics won't repeat yet. That's more for noon. When we put the Celtics on the clock at noon, will the Celtics repeat? Will they not repeat? We'll do that 60 seconds each. I think Keefe is taking the they will repeat side. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am shooketh, but I can talk myself into it. Don't worry.
Okay.
I can talk myself into them repeating.
I'll take the opposing view.
Yeah,
but that's
today.
at noon. I'm not talking myself out of them winning. I'm just saying, now I got to pick the series. And you just made a good point, Keefe. Like, if Denver knocks off OKC or the Lakers knock off OKC, well, then you don't have to worry about them. And the West, as you said, is going to be a gauntlet. But now I got to pick the series. And it doesn't mean the Celtics have no chance, but I got to pick Celtics or Thunder. The Thunder put the clamps on the Celtics. And every time the Celtics came back and took a 1-point lead, did they even get to a 2-point lead last year? It was never more than one possession in favor of the Celtics. The Thunder were going like a 10-0 run, and they'd run away from the Thunder. Sneaky dominated them last night. Dominated them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't pick the Celtics in a series against the Thunder. I would pick them against the Lakers. I would pick them against the Nuggets. I would pick them against Cleveland.
Everybody else.
Right. The Thunder are the one team, the matchup that you don't want to see. Doesn't mean they have no shot. Doesn't mean we need Thunder buddies, as the text line is suggesting, although that's always nice.
Sure.
Always nice to have a little company.
No, they are.
But we don't need to run and hide. It just means that I wouldn't pick the Celtics against the Thunder. I don't think that makes us bad people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess why would you pick the Celtics over the Thunder right now? The Thunder can play. Everybody on their team plays hard defensively. Like, they're all locked in. And then they have enough offensively. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can be frustrating to watch, like, as an opposing fan. Like, you have to kind of like it because he's not so reliant on the three-point shot. I know people are getting frustrated with that. He draws a lot of fouls. He takes a lot of free throws, that kind of thing. But they're just locked in, and they didn't have, two of their 7 or 8 best guys? Obviously, Jalen Williams is an all-star, but no Caruso last night either. So
good point.
If you want to bank on, Porzingis coming back, which unfortunately you can't bank on. And that's the other part of this. We've always said all along, the Celtics can and will win the title, and it doesn't matter if Porzingis plays another minute. In a matchup like this, he is pretty important. So now
I don't necessarily disagree with that because I felt watching last night, they missed the rim protection. I was surprised at how well the Thunder, and this is not just SGA, although it's mostly him. I was surprised how unbothered they were around the rim. Like, they finished at a high level around the rim, where the Celtics typically bother teams. The Celtics have length between Tatum and Brown and even Horford, and especially when Porzingis is in there. Never mind Holiday and White will block shots at the guard position. They tend to bother teams. The Thunder were unbothered. So you're right. I don't, in a vacuum, think they need Porzingis, but for that matchup, it would go a long way.
I think this one.
But
that's
then
the only one.
But Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso would go a long way for them, too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm not saying that, the injury excuse. There is no injury excuse. It was a wash, if not in favor of the Thunder. I just think this matchup in particular, when you have guys like Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren out there, like, you need to be able to match up with Kristaps Porzingis.
2 stats, one courtesy of the Rich Keefe Stats and Info Department that he uncovered earlier this season.
That's right. Turned over a lot of stones for
now
this
the
one.
Celtics have lost at home to Cleveland and OKC on this homestand.
Yeah.
They now have 12 losses at home. There is only one team in NBA history that lost more games at home. Others have lost 12.
That's right.
But if the Celtics lose one more, there's only one more team in NBA history that has lost more at home and gone on to win the title. It's the 95 Rockets. Now, they repeated.
They did.
The Celtics are trying to repeat. There's also a lot of teams on this list that repeated and lost the same or fewer games at home. So the Celtics are getting dangerously close to losing too many games at home, which probably speaks to being a lower seed and not a 1 seed, and having to go win on the road, where fortunately for them, they've been a good road team. But let's face it, part of their formula last year, they were 37-4 at home. That was part of their formula for winning a championship last year, and they do not have that this year. The other thing is they are way, way, way too in love with the 3. Do you have any threes they took in the first quarter last night?
They only took 3s.
It was, they only made
I'm sorry.
threes.
They might as well have only taken 3s. Yeah, they didn't make a 2 in the first quarter.
And the first one they made in the second quarter was actually a goaltend. That was the first 2 they made. It didn't even go through the cylinder.
Wild.
The Celtics took 24.
Over $1.2 trillion.
That's what it felt like.
That might have been.
They took 24 field goals, Joe, in the first quarter. 22 were threes. That was an NBA record.
I mean,
At halftime, they had taken 36 threes, an NBA record.
how much is too much?
They finished the night with 63 three-point attempts. That is tied for the third most in NBA history. It is a Celtics franchise record. And they went ice cold in the second half, which was entirely predictable. They were the only reason they were even in the game in the first half is because Horford and White couldn't miss from three. It's the only reason they were in the game. They were 5 of 27 in the second half from three. They attempted 63. They made 20. They're too in love with the three ball.
It's too much. I mean, it's too much. I know some people hate it. Other people go the other way, and they're like, this is how they win. Like, you got to launch threes. Like, that is a bit too much. And when it's a game that when you're not hitting them, they shot under 32%. I think it's right around there. It's like 32, 33, 34% is sort of their magic number for the last couple of years, where if they hit over that, the number is great. Like, the record is insane. And then if they go below that, they're like 500 at best. And I don't know, in a game like this where Oklahoma City is so physical and they are getting second chance points, they're getting free throws, and they're just playing tougher, and then you're just still running around chucking threes the whole time.
Hate it.
It's tough. And then it's almost like a false sense of like coming back too, because they'll be just useless possessions and then they'll hit like two in a row. So they get like a quick 6 points and like, oh, this is what they're doing. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, how you're going to be able to come back and win the whole game that way?
You're not just going to be able to outmath every single team in the league. You could outmath teams last year. I mean, A, you were the most talented.
Right.
And B, everybody
Right.
you played was hurt, and then you got a 5 seed in the finals. You're not going to be able to outmath everybody to a championship. I don't believe that. And last night, I think you saw why. The Thunder are too good defensively. They're way too good defensively to just let you stand out there and knock down threes all night. You're not going to do it. So I hated that. I hate that after the game, Missoula's like, yeah, we just weren't physical enough. Well, no crap. You play so soft on offense that it bleeds over to the other side. When you float around the three-point arc.
Yeah, 100%.
And all you're doing is standing, or which is, shortchanging what Tatum does a little bit. Tatum penetrates and kicks. But when mostly you're standing around, that's going to speak to passive play, which I think impacts you at the defensive end. So no kidding. You weren't physical enough last night, which was a problem. And then you get to Jaylen Brown.
Tough night at the office for Jaylen Brown.
What was his problem last night, Keefe? I don't want to hear just about the foul trouble. I mean, he was in foul trouble. He fouled out.
I think he was trying. I think he thought he was up for the challenge of defending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he was not.
No.
And I think he got torched defensively, and then that had to impact his game offensively. The two are very much related. He couldn't buy any shots. Then when you're in foul trouble, that obviously changes how you play as well. But on the one hand, you want all those guys because they should be as equipped as any team in the NBA to guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has more perimeter defenders than the Celtics, or more good ones than the Celtics. So on the one hand, I'm like, hey, he's up for the challenge. Let's see what it looks like. It didn't look great.
No.
I don't want, if it's the NBA Finals, I don't want to see Jaylen Brown on SGA. No thanks. Peyton Pritchard actually kind of held with him a little bit. Not that I want to see a lot of that either.
No, Pritchard,
he held with, Tatum was okay against him.
Pritchard bothered him a little bit.
He bothered him a little bit. You can't do that for a while. It's not a matchup that I love. But yeah, Jaylen Brown just had a brutal night. Like he was one of the main, the 63 threes that they took. And then Jaylen Brown's performance, no help from the bench. Those guys disappeared. Also, I don't think you can rely on those guys against the Thunder.
Nope.
You play against the the Wizards or the Spurs on a random Tuesday night. Peyton Pritchard can score 25 points. Playing against a team that plays defense like the Thunder, he's going to be pretty quiet.